I've been making content on YouTube for just over 2 years. When that milestone came up, I was going through a lot of reflection on the topics that I was trying to cover, the processes I was trying to use, and general goals and aims for why I was doing it all. Here are some of the many things that I've learned throughout those 2 years. Writing is actually really important for YouTube. Whether it be video titles, video scripts, community posts, comment replies, all those require written material. So the better you are at writing, the better all of these will be. Since the start of my channel, I always suspected that I could make better content if I learned some copywriting techniques and devoted the time to using them. There are loads of great resources out there and many are completely free. I'm an avid note taker. I have like a Filofax, and I use the bullet journal style of note taking and reflection to keep track of the stuff that's going through my head. I can scribble down dozens of notes every day and then try and take a bit of time at the end of the day to reflect on what was useful, what wasn't, what I learned, how I can carry that forward, tasks that I might need to follow up on. That's been really helpful for keeping me on track with my own aims and the tasks that I need to fulfill. What I also kept doing was using something called Notion, which is an online note-taking system and database system, and it's very, very flexible. Perhaps I'll go through Notion in a future video. I would constantly be generating ideas and popping those in Notion for what another video might be, what topics I might want to discuss or cover, or things that I wanted to research and perhaps produce tutorials on. I couldn't figure out a way to take that step between all the notes that I was taking and then producing something that I could put on camera, or a way of converting those notes into something like this sort of talking head video. And that's something that to be honest, I'm still working through. I feel like I'm starting to get there. Hopefully this video is an example of how I can at least make a start on that. But the process of writing a script or crafting some sort of content for an article, I hadn't actually gone to that length prior to the last couple of months. I think it was sort of like December, January time, 23, 24, that I've really started to push hard with that. It stands to reason that if you're trying to produce something that is either inspiring or entertaining or educational, which has a dialogue or at least a monologue element to it, being able to write succinctly and creatively and with depth is something that's going to make that so much better. So I've been following Ship 30 for 30 as an idea. I've not actually been sort of strictly adhering to the course or subscribe to the course. Maybe that's something I'll do in future. And there's another content creator called Dan Coe whose stuff I found very inspiring as well. I'll perhaps pop a couple of links in the description. Their approaches to focusing on writing and also focusing on releasing content and trying to get that in front of people so that you can then get feedback to then improve your own work as quickly as possible and keep that sort of feedback cycle going. You don't need to go out and spend loads of money on a really good camera. 6 months ago, I bought a Canon M50 Mark II and a HDMI capture device, but in hindsight, it was probably a mistake at that point because I don't really use it to its potential. A basic £40 web camera with 1080p resolution is pretty much fine for the purposes of a basic talking head video. I also use a green screen, so even the nice blurry backgrounds offered by a mirrorless camera with an adjustable aperture, those are sort of irrelevant. I could have spent the money that I had at that time on other things, or just waited to purchase at a later date when the channel was bigger and perhaps making some revenue. So don't get me wrong, I really like this camera and I'm pleased that I bought it. It is a nice piece of kit. Hopefully it makes a difference to you guys when you do see videos which are higher res and slightly better quality. But if I was going to make a choice between a better video quality or better sound quality would always be the one to pick, regardless of whether you're interested in music or producing music online. I think having decent vocal representation is something that most viewers will gravitate towards. If you have a very clear picture but you can't hear the presenter in the video, then that's going to really switch people off. I just feel very fortunate that I'm in a position where I can afford a few nice bits of kit to make the channel as polished as I can. I've recently given my website a revamp. It's mikeranoff.com, and there is a newsletter subscription that you can join up to if you like, that comes out hopefully once a month, which tells you the things that I've been doing that month and what I've learned from them. If that's something that you're interested in, follow the link in the description. Thanks. Metrics are a little bit like sugar. Watching the likes or subscriptions come in after a successful video can really give you a buzz for a while, but they don't keep you going for long. And when they tail off, you might feel a little bit down. Comments are the most valuable interactions from your audience. Every comment took way more effort to produce than any single click on a like button or a subscription bell. Every written comment is an opportunity also to talk directly with and learn from a real person. Likes and subscriptions make a channel bigger. Comments make a channel better. If you start putting material out on YouTube, you'll know that there's a creator studio, and this has some amazing tools. You can see what part of the world the majority of your subscribers come from, or your viewers. You can see what demographic they're from, whether they're male, female, what age bracket they sit in. That can give you quite a good bit of insight. I mean, I know from my metrics that most of you are guys from either the UK or the US, and you're in sort of late 30s to early 60s, so pretty much similar to myself. That sort of falls in line with stuff that Dan Coe says, which is that it's often a good idea to make content for your former self and try and solve the problems that you were going through. When you start looking at the performance of videos over time, or you notice how quickly one has taken off versus another one which was a lot slower, it can be very tempting to focus on that and allow that to drive the type of video that you make, or what the next video might be like. In some ways you might find yourself optimizing for the metrics. If you are looking at trying to create a monetized channel, you want to reach an audience quickly and effectively. That is obviously a set of things to take into account. If you're more of a creative and YouTube is an outlet for your creativity, and you're less concerned about how the channel's going to perform and more concerned about expressing yourself, those metrics can become a real distraction. As a creative person myself, sometimes those metrics can get me down if I see that a video didn't perform in the way I would like it to. Once you learn that those metrics are there for certain purposes, but you've got your own goal, then that can make things a lot easier. Trying to keep track of what your intention is and what your mission, your purpose is, those metrics, they stop influencing you too much. So I recently decided what my little strapline for this channel would be, and that is to entertain, educate, and inspire. So if I keep that mission in mind, then whether a video performs or doesn't perform, whether I get many subscribers or only a handful, that's less important to me than knowing that I'm sticking with the mission that I've set for myself. So what I find is that if a video performs reasonably well, then usually 10% of the viewers will click on the like button. That just seems to be a ratio that comes up quite regularly for the stuff that I'm putting out there. If it's a talking head video, sometimes the ratio is a little bit higher. I might get more likes than the 10%. But if it's a music video, that tends to be what happens. When a viewer clicks on the like button, then that's clearly a really nice thing for me to know that video appealed to them and there was something that they got out of it that was worthwhile. It doesn't take a lot of effort to click on the button, so have a go now if you like. It doesn't really tell me anything about what you think or what it was that you liked about the video. Equally, if somebody clicks on subscribe, I don't know whether that's because they liked this one video and they want some more, or whether they've watched 6 or 7 videos and now they're invested in the channel and they want to stay regularly updated. I don't know whether they'll ever come back and watch another video. It might just be that they just ping the button there and then. In future, they're just actually not that bothered. That sort of reinforces my thought that likes and subscriptions don't actually help the channel make a great deal. What they do though is help that video to propagate and to spread across YouTube. Clearly, if a channel gets a lot of subscriptions over a short period of time, YouTube will know that that one's being successful, so it will put it out further to more viewers yet again. So likes and subscriptions, they do make a channel bigger. Comments are different though. They actually allow me and other creators to understand more about you. By putting a comment together, you can express what it is that you want to see more of and explain in detail, if you like, what it is that I'm doing right or what I'm doing wrong. So if you do take the time to comment, that is hugely appreciated. That is the sort of thing that will allow me to produce better content over time and to get a relationship with you guys. I'm really, really pleased with the fact that I've connected with a good handful of people, some of whom have been kind enough to donate on Buy Me a Coffee, some of whom have literally got on Zoom with me and we've had a chat and they've told me about their system that they're using if they're making music themselves, what their aspirations are, given me ideas for content, whether they actually expressly told me, oh, you should do this, or they've sort of said, I'm struggling with this challenge, it would be really great if I could get a tutorial on how to do X, Y, and Z. You've got to be a jack of all trades if you're working solo on making content for YouTube. There are a lot of different hats to wear, whether it be camera operator, sound engineer, editor, graphic designer, or scriptwriter. It may feel overwhelming at first because unless you've got previous experience in some of these roles, there's a huge amount to learn. Making your first few videos is likely to take a long time, so pace yourself and try to create your own templates for things like thumbnails, transitions, and titles if you're using editing software. This will speed things up a lot. Try and be open to building new skills as you go. Don't feel like you have to learn everything up front. So I feel very much like YouTube and other social media are pretty much perfect for my interests and my skill set. I studied industrial design at college, and that was the sort of course where we did electronics, mechanics, we did graphic design, manufacturing techniques, business. There was like a dozen different avenues of study. Myself and the other students on the course, we all laughed and joked at the time that we had become jacks of all trades but masters of none. That really equipped me with the sort of mindset, continually study, continually try and learn new things. As a YouTuber, that is a really, really valuable skill set. The ability to sort of say, I don't know how to do this next step of a process. Let me go off and research that. Let me try and find out how that works and then try it out, put it into action, see what worked, what didn't work. Now I know how to do that to a base level. Let me do my next video and try and iterate and improve on that. Learning how to set up a camera and lighting and a green screen. Never done that before. I started on YouTube. Setting up a microphone, the compressor, the noise limiter, all that kind of stuff. Hadn't really done that before. Editing a video once I'd done all of this recording. Never done that before. Didn't even know how to use any editing software. Then once you've produced your video, you need a thumbnail. I mean, some people would say design your thumbnail before you decide on what the topic of the video is, but back to that on another occasion. Using something like Photopea or Pixlr or something like that to create a thumbnail or a header for your YouTube channel. Then, of course, you've got going back to the script writing thing as well, and crafting copy for a web page. All those things I had a rough idea of how to do, or I'd tried once or twice. But creating a workflow and stringing all of them together and then trying to get an optimized way of producing that either quickly or to a higher level has taken quite a lot of work over the last few months. So if that's the route that you go down, I really do encourage you to be patient with yourself. Those skills do come over time if you are interested in putting in the effort. The great thing is there are so many free resources. I don't know, type in how to set up a camera for YouTube. You'll find a million videos. Now, I have no contacts in the traditional music industry. I don't know any record labels. I'll be honest, I'm not really that interested in getting in touch with any record labels. I kind of feel like if over a period of 2 years, I've got 500 subscribers and I've got some really, really engaged people talking to me regularly about how I produce my music, some of whom have donated money, some of whom have been keen enough to buy an album off of Bandcamp. I feel like that's a win, and there's plenty of potential still to explore on that front. If you are a professional musician, you will probably want to follow up on the likes of Spotify, streaming, getting in touch with record labels, getting proper promotion. I don't know whether that's the right avenue for future musicians, though. It'll be really interesting to see whether the music industry does become completely distributed and decentralized, and whether the primary model becomes the individual artist promoting themselves. We'll have to see, but that's the route I'm trying to follow. So my rationale is there's a 50-50 balance between me expressing myself and putting the content that I want to out there from an artistic standpoint. And then there's the other standpoint, which is that of the audience. And if what I do doesn't appeal to anybody, then in a way, it's not been very successful. It might have helped fulfill my needs as an artist, but in the end, there's not a great deal of value attached to it if I was the only person who appreciated the outcome. As an artist, to try and create value in the form of either entertainment, education, or inspiration. I feel like that's the middle ground and the most important way to tackle it. I would be really interested to know what your thoughts are. As I say, there's a lot of people who I see comments from saying, oh, so-and-so has sold out. They've produced their stuff now, and whereas it used to be free, now has to be paid for. I completely understand if that's a route that somebody wants to go down. They feel that all their artwork should be free and that they feel that their work is purely for expression. Equally, if somebody is deciding that their work is purely business oriented, everything they produce is a product, every piece of content that they make needs to be monetized in some way, I can completely understand that too. From my point of view, there's a middle ground. What I'm trying to do is produce stuff that I find is fulfilling, but equally has some value to you, because otherwise, what's the point in it going out there? Do whatever you want. If you're starting a channel because it feels like an exciting way to share your music or to express yourself, then stick to your guns and make whatever content you feel like. Alternatively, if your goal is to grow a channel quickly and get monetized fast, there are many guides out there. Whichever you choose, be very clear about that distinction though. I've always wanted to keep my creative freedom in terms of pace and direction on this channel. At the same time, I also wanted it to be successful, and early on I didn't want to accept that these two factors are often in conflict. I began to feel disheartened when I realized the channel wasn't growing at a pace I'd hoped for. If I make a live techno jam in one video, a talking head about creative methods in the next, and then a tutorial on ambient music, the chances of these topics all appealing to the same viewer are reduced compared to posting the same type of content for every video. Generally speaking, people like consistent themes and some regularity to the uploads. The flip side of this is that those viewers who do enjoy this variety are unlikely to find that exact mix on another channel, and they may become your superfans. Nowadays, I'm much more content with making the videos I want to make and really appreciating the subscribers and viewers who leave such interesting and supportive comments. If you're new to making YouTube content, try to think of it as a marathon and not a sprint. You are in charge of the event, so take it at your own pace. Your audience will run to catch up or slow down to jog alongside you. Don't stop though, because otherwise you'll never get the medal. Thank you very much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Hopefully there's some things you've learned from this one. If you are starting out on your journey of creating YouTube content, maybe there's a few things that you have learned from this that you can carry forward. If you are a more successful YouTuber than me, I would love to hear from you and get your ideas as to what I should be doing differently. So take care, and I'll see you in the next video.